Ba-da-ba. Is there a theme song for Inside the Urn?
I mean, it's not the McDonald's theme song, which is what you were about to say.
Hello and welcome to Inside the Urn, now for VIPs.
Apparently we're taking submissions for a theme song.
Yes, please submit your best ideas to backyardsurvivorau@gmail.com.
Oh yeah, we didn't say our names.
No, we didn't do it in the last video.
This.
I know. I was like, that's presumptuous. We just
Yeah.
put it up and we're like,
You know who we are by now. Yeah.
I'm Kyle.
I'm Bryan.
Hello.
It is simultaneously thrilling to be back to talk about Backyard Survivor on Inside the Urn, and heartbreaking to be talking about sending one of our returnees packing to redemption by the end of the first episode.
Yeah.
That is proof that this show is very real and not rigged, because, full disclaimer, this is not what we wanted for our returnees coming back. We wanted them to have some form of redemption. But we have to remember, it's very hard to stay mad at those players that voted her out, because, you know, when we cast for Backyard Survivor, we cast for a variety of different things, but the one thing that everybody has to have is that drive to actually play the game. And part of that is giving them full autonomy over all of the decisions that they're making. We want them to go in and make the best decisions that they can for their games. And ultimately, as heartbreaking as it is, if that's what they decide is best for their game, is to vote out, you know, someone that we brought back and had high hopes for, we have to let them do it.
We're sure that this will have mixed opinions on it. Some people will think that it's iconic, but, you know, it's also devastating because Holly's a real person who has had to face that 2 times now.
Almost justifies our decision to include redemption in our season, because in a normal season of Backyard Survivor, Holly gets voted out first. You don't get to see the aftermath of that. But next episode, we're going to pick up right where that episode left off, and you're going to see Holly's reaction to being voted out first for the second time.
We knew that we had a full cast of 18 contestants who were all amazing, and someone was going to be voted out first.
Yeah.
Someone's going to be out second, someone's out third. And, you know, otherwise we wouldn't get much time with them on screen, getting to know them. So for anyone that's voted out early, we can still see a part of them at redemption, and ultimately someone from redemption is going to get back into the game at the merge. So rather than them kind of disappearing and then just re-entering at the merge, we get to track them through that part of the journey as well.
Yeah, so Holly might be out of the tribe, but she is not out of the game. She still has a chance to get back from redemption. Let's break down the votes of what happened and why Holly got voted off.
Birak was a hot mess.
Yeah, if you watch the challenge closely, every single one of them messed it up.
And I think they all knew this as well, going back to their camp. They were all terrified, reflecting on their own performance in the challenge. And so I think that's really what kicks them into gear to think, I don't want it to be me. I didn't do great in that challenge. I need the focus to be elsewhere.
You've got 6 people on self-preservation mode, and it's
Yeah.
only going to work for 5 of them.
Yeah. The obvious person when they get back to camp is Josh. Josh was most notably slowing them down on the high beam. He injured his knee in the process, so he thinks we'll see what happens with that. And everybody else noticed it as well.
And Josh is not oblivious to this. Josh is very aware that he's against the ropes. Is that the same? Against the ropes?
I think so.
Yeah.
Against the ropes.
It's a wrestling analogy. I obviously don't know wrestling.
Josh was also tangled in the ropes.
Yes. Tangled in, around, and against the ropes. And so he's fully aware of his position here. And he is pitching to everybody else that, like, sure, he might have messed up that challenge, but he probably will do better in other challenges than, say, maybe Holly or Ken.
And, you know, this is another unfortunate thing for returning players. People often, at the start of the game, are looking for someone who stands out for any reason. Josh stands out for the reason that he messed up the challenge the most.
Yep.
And Holly stands out because she's the only person who's returning player on the tribe. So for Josh, it's kind of like, well, I can lean it towards Ken, I can lean it towards Holly. Like, Holly stands out more because we all know she's the returning player. And he says this, he is pitching to Ken like she's had her chance. So he's not about the second chance for Holly.
Yeah. Which we knew might happen is that even though they're out first, You know, so kind of the idea of redemption is they didn't really get a chance. It's not a hard sell to say, they've already done it before. They had their chance, now it's us.
Yeah.
You can see that Josh has some connection to Matt C. So Matt C starts to maybe divert the plan with Holly and saying, why don't we get rid of Ken? Ken might be the better choice here. And Holly's on board. Oh, where are we putting them?
So we're on a 6-person tribe. There's not many places to hide. So we've got our 6 Virak tribe members, and Holly is telling Josh that they'll all vote for Ken, except Ken is going to vote for Josh. But Josh is worried that Holly could also do this. Matt doesn't want to vote for Holly. He might also vote for Josh. And now you've got a 3-3. And this terrifies Josh. So he is going to go even harder, selling the case that Holly is the one that needs to go home at this vote.
I mean, at this point, going into tribal council, you have Josh and Ken. I think they're over here. Josh and Ken, who Holly has thrown both of their names out. So for them, they're on the bottom anyway. And so they have no qualms about voting for Holly. You have Michael and Rachel here, who I guess they have to decide who it is that they really want to align with going forward. And unfortunately, Holly wasn't that person over Josh and Ken. So they'll go with Josh and Ken to vote out Holly. And at that point, it's 4 against 2. So Matt C's in the position of, does he stick with Holly, someone who he's interested in working with, or does he just go in with the numbers, give himself a better chance in the long game, and apologize later? And ultimately, that's what he's going to do. He's going to vote with the rest of the tribe for Holly, and it's going to be a unanimous vote on Holly.
And you can see Matt's face at that tribal council.
Yeah, he hates it.
He's upset. Before they head into tribal, there will be a brief period of time where Matt C is going to take Holly for a little idol hunt. Meanwhile, on the blue tribe,
Yeah.
Fu has found an idol which she can gift to someone on the red tribe, and potentially all of this strategy that has happened at their camp could be for naught because we don't know where that idol is going to go.
Yes. The wild thing here is that if everyone had gone with Holly's plan and sided with Holly and voted out Ken, who's probably the other name that's out there, Ken will play the idol and Ken will vote for Holly and Holly will go home.
Yeah.
It's heartbreaking.
And the idol situation is interesting as well because the blue tribe, because it's essentially found as a tribe, they are having an influence over how this vote is going to go down on the red tribe. Ultimately, it won't affect the vote, but you know, if they'd given it to Holly, then Holly survives here and Ken will go home. They could have given it to any person on that tribe.
Yeah.
And it's quite curious to see the way that they broke down their options, because Holly gets put forward of like, should we give it to her? She was out first the last time she played. You know, maybe that's what we should do. But then they think like, no one's going to do that.
No one's going to vote her out first. Twice.
Yeah.
So Holly very quickly gets taken off of the table. And
they're looking at like who
Josh
they think
and
is on the
Ken.
bottom. Yeah, Josh and Ken.
Yeah, they think that Holly won't need it.
And I'm surprised they don't go with Josh, to be honest, because they know Josh is the one that messed up the challenge for them.
Yeah.
So, you know, the outside perception of who's in trouble on the red tribe, like everybody saw Josh struggle on that high beam.
I didn't. I had no idea until afterwards.
But ultimately they decide that Ken is likely to be the one most in trouble.
Yeah. And I remember at that tribal council, I remember when we walked up to the urn and I whispered very quietly, oh, poor Josh. Because I had no idea that Holly was going home there. But then all the talk at tribal was that, and you know, Josh is very vocal at tribal. And I remember being like, oh, poor Josh, he's a super fan, he's going to go home. And I remember you turned to me and you're like, I don't think that's what happened. I think they've done it again.
Yeah.
And I was blindsided by this vote when we saw the votes before we came back and read them. So, first vote of season 4 done. What are we left with? Going into the next episode, we have Holly at Redemption, who we're going to see her reaction to being voted out first again. You've got 5 savages back at camp, but you have Josh and Ken, who are really kind of, you know, have just fought for their lives there. You have 12 other people left in the game who don't know that Holly's being voted out yet, and they're going to have a reaction when they find out that Holly was the person voted off. And two of them, David and Kiara, 5 people just voted off one of their own. So it'll be very interesting to see how they react to the news as well, and how that impacts on their games and the game going forward.
Plus all of the blue tribe who have given an idol to the red tribe, so they're going to see who walks into the next challenge from that tribe, not knowing whether the idol was a factor or not for them. So pretty hairy dynamics straight away going into... Hairy.
No, it's right.
Hairy?
It's right. Strong adjective. Visual.
Purely from this first vote, it's going to shake everybody up.
Yeah.
Going into episode 2.
Yeah, this isn't a nice, friendly game of people just turning up to a backyard and playing games. This is brutal, and people are not going to be afraid to make the decisions that they need to make.
Yeah.
And, if nothing else, Holly getting voted out here is a warning to everybody that game is on.
Thank you so much for joining us on Inside the Urn.
Yeah, a lot of fun to be back. Strong start.
If you'd like to comment on my redemption of the cowboy look, it's no longer a bib, right?
It's not a bib.
Yeah.
No, it's not a bib.
What do they call it? It's not a bandana. I thought of this. Neckerchief? I think it's called a neckerchief. No, it does not look like a neckerchief.
It might. But I just don't know if that's what we're going for on Inside the Urn. Just watch, next week I'm going to rock up full cowboy gear. I'm going to come in and be like...
Well, what's your style? Headband?
Yeah, Survivors. That's the style. That's the style we're going for. Survivor. Anyway, sorry.
I missed the memo.
Yeah. So tune in next week. Woo.
Does it look like cowboy?
Yeah. Yeah.
No? There's a snake in my boot.
Oh.
What else does he say?
He, the one cowboy.
Yeah. Woody.
Huh?
Woody?
Woody. Oh, I'm trying to think about like Clint Eastwood. Because I'm an adult.
Forgot that you were a massive fan of Clint.
But I think his thing is that he doesn't say anything. He just looks at people and then he's like... That's James Bond. And then the blood comes down.
Yeah. Is that the theme song?
No, we copyright can't. Oh, I would love it if someone wrote a theme song for Inside the Urn.